one of the most historic moments we've had in Kenya was the nullification of the 2017 elections. But after these elections were nullified, the president at the time, Uhuru Kenyatta, said, we will revisit. So, did he revisit? So basically, he's saying you ran a very corrupt Supreme Court, and this trickled down through the whole judiciary. So, did you see this tweet?
I saw it.
Okay. So,
I saw it.
are we trying to invite a clown to a palace? Because that's what he's saying.
Yes.
Intimidation.
Thank you very
politics.
much. I don't want you to just wish me good luck. No.
Yeah.
If you think I have a cause for Kenya,
Yes.
I want to ask you.
Ikoneni.
Iko nini?
Yes, episode 470. Tusema like, subscribe, hit the notification button, tell a friend to tell a friend. And leo tuko na Emeritus. What does the name Emeritus mean? I always see it and I always say that I'm going to use it and
Retired.
retired. Oh, I always assume that it's something to do with law, the way it's your learned friend. So after I leave podcasting, can I be called Emeritus?
Why not? Why not? Yeah.
Yeah, so tuko na Emeritus vile tunamchoga kwa streets kama Maraga and nataka tu have conversation. Kuna vitu mingi sana zimehappen zile watu wanashindwa like kunaendaje, but the biggest news in Kenya right now ni stories are the June 25th protests. So I want to ask, start with that. June 25th last year, where were you and what did you feel about what you were saying?
I was in Nairobi. I was in Nairobi. We saw what happened in Parliament. It was a horrific scene. Something I had never seen in my life. And I was wondering whether this was happening in Kenya.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was. It's something I hope we will never have again.
Okay.
Yes, because that is how you lose a country.
Yeah.
Yes, so that's my reaction to that.
Okay. So what do you think pushed Kenyans to that last year? Like watching from the outside, what did you feel made people feel like they needed to invade parliament?
The youths, the Gen Zs, were saying, look, this bill didn't take into consideration their plight.
Yes.
Most of them are unemployed. Those who are employed are really struggling to live with very little income. And in their view, and of course the view of most Kenyans, is that the finance bill was totally insensitive to their views, to their plight. And they expected Parliament as the representatives of the people to take that into account and find a way of accommodating them.
Okay.
But Parliament did not do that. And that's why the Gen Zs, in my view, felt betrayed. And they had to express their view.
Okay. And of course, later that night, the president released a statement. And in the statement, he said that these were criminals. And basically, by the next day, the military had been deployed on the streets. So those two things, the statement and deploying the military, your views as someone who understands Kenyan law?
There was a lot of talk that there were criminals involved.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that because the youths, the Gen Zs had a cause. But the bits we are getting is that during that time, some criminal groups infiltrated them.
Yes.
Infiltrated them and changed the scenario. That notwithstanding, That notwithstanding, when there is a protest or there is a demonstration, it is the duty of the police to single out the criminals
Yes.
and handle them the way they should handle them. Otherwise, without that, you're not going to have any demonstration, because there will be always goons who will want to take advantage of the situation and cause mayhem. And what the police are supposed to do, that's what they are supposed to do, to make sure that they restrain the goons.
Yes.
So that those who have a legitimate protest can picket,
Yeah.
and get their views heard. Yeah.
So seeing the military in the streets?
Seeing the military in the streets, what comes to your mind is that it has gone beyond the control of the police.
Yeah.
What I don't know is whether it had actually gotten to that level, that the police was there, proper coordination, so that the police are there, and the military were there. They behaved very civilly, and the situation was calm.
Okay. Yeah. And with that in mind, I'd have to take you back a little bit. Were you there in 1982? How old were you in 1982?
1982. Of course, I was on that. I was working. Yeah, I was working. I was a lawyer in Nakuru.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you had the coup was happening, like how was it in Nakuru that time?
It was tense, extremely tense. In fact, if you ask me, I had gone swimming very early in the morning.
Okay.
And I had, you know what do you call those telephone booths?
Yeah. Okay.
There was one near the swimming pool where I was swimming. I used to swim with some friends of mine, Asians.
Yeah. Okay.
In Nakuru, and we found early in the morning a very nice time to swim. So I had gone to swim, and our phone rings, and we were all asking ourselves who could be ringing this early. I decided to pick.
Yeah.
It's like by instinct. I started to pick that call, and I found it was my wife who was calling, saying, "Look, there is a coup. Come back home." And I went back home, and we waited. Everybody the situation was tense. We waited and the news unfolded.
Okay. And now, June 25th, 2025, it's been called the mother of all protests. Are you planning to be involved in any way?
You know, this is the Gen Z's protest.
Yes.
We are joining them in solidarity.
Okay.
Because we feel for them. We feel for the parents who lost their children. We feel for the Gen Zs who were injured.
Okay.
And we're just coming up in solidarity with them.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. It is their own program. We are just joining them in solidarity, and also expressing our views that this should not be allowed to happen again in this country.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, of course, they on Monday night, KTN had an expose, and with that, they talked about how some people within the government are planning to counter the protests using goons and using violence. So, I don't know if you got a chance to even watch a few minutes of it. The expose.
I saw a clip. I saw a clip, and some things surprise you. I saw a clip. What are these people going to do? The mothers and the siblings of the Gen Zs who were killed. What are they going to do? They're just going to say, look, they are expressing their frustration.
Yes.
That in spite of their loved ones having been killed, having been maimed, some are injured, and others have disappeared. They have never even been known where they are. They just wanted the public to know that, look, we are being forgotten. I mean, that is what the Constitution allows. The Constitution allows that so that the public can understand that something like this, these are human beings, these are Kenyans. Those Gen Zs have siblings, have mothers, have fathers. Are they supposed to sit down and just forget?
Okay.
They are not having any violent demonstration. The best of what I've heard,
Okay.
they just wanted to go and lay flowers. We have been laying flowers at the former American embassy, where people were killed in that terrorist act.
98, yes.
98. This is exactly what these people, if only what they are doing is to continue putting pressure on the government to compensate, because, I mean, some of these cases have not been addressed.
Yeah.
Their plight has not been addressed. So all they are doing is to just come and say, look, are you people not bothered about our loved ones who died, or those who disappeared? So it is just to continue putting pressure so that the government can act, come up with a compensation scheme. Those cases which have not been dealt with, they be dealt with. And in my view, this kind of protest is actually not only for the families of the lost, or I mean of the deceased Gen Zs.
Yes.
It is for the whole country. Last year it was them. If this is not stopped, if this kind of act is not stopped, tomorrow it will be you, me, and everybody else.
Yes.
That is the message, as far as I'm concerned, that the families of the Gen Zs are giving, and a very, very legitimate message. Yeah.
Okay. And there was this, I don't know if you also saw, one of the mothers of the victims, there's this 12-year-old kid who died last year in Rongai, the one that the president was asking, is he still alive? Don't know if you saw that. So the mother was saying the president called her and apologized and told her that he was going to make sure that she got justice, and he was going to call her for a sit down. And more than a year later, he'd never called her back. So having dealt with presidents, are they that busy that you can forget a grieving mother? And you in a similar position, would you forget if you promised a mother, I'm going to call you back, we talk about how you can get justice for your kid?
The president called.
Yes, through Itumbi.
If the president called,
yes,
meaning there are people around the president who brought that to his attention.
Yeah.
The same people are supposed to have a follow-up. When you have said something, you're supposed to have a follow-up.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, like, this is a grieving family.
Yes.
This is a grieving family. The worst you can do is to appear to be indifferent.
Okay.
To their plight or to their agony. So I mean, it's a very unfortunate situation. If the president called, and he didn't follow it up, that is extremely unfortunate. And I mean, when you are in an office like that of the president, those are things that I mean, as I said, are supposed to be followed up. There are people whose duty it is to ensure that what the president has said is followed up. If he means it, it is followed up, and I mean, you don't go making statements without any follow-up action.
Okay. And of course, recently, if you were to digress a little bit, recently you went to Tanzania. You are not stopped at the airport. CJ Mtunga was stopped, and of course Tundu Lissu was really happy to see you. How was that experience? Like were you nervous when you're in the plane that maybe they might stop me at the airport while going to Tanzania?
You know, having my predecessor having been stopped, I was also fearing that they could also stop me. There's really no difference between me and William Tunga. But when I went there, nobody stopped me at all. And I went straight into the courtroom where I met Tundulisa, Lisu, and he was very happy, of course, to see us, and it sent a message. It sent a message, and some people were, some officials of the Tanzanian government were saying, "Look, we are interfering with their internal affairs." It's not internal affairs.
Yes.
It is the fear of the civic space, which is shrinking in East Africa, and it is a worry to everyone. What happens in Tanzania will affect Kenya. What happens in Kenya will affect Tanzania. So in that spirit of Pan-Africanism, that's what took me there. And the message by our visit is that, look, the Tanzanians are clamoring for democratic rights. Let there be free and fair elections.
Yes.
And let the winner be declared the leader. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah.
And with that in mind, we'd have to go back to also Kenya. One of the most historic moments we've had in Kenya was the nullification of the 2017 elections. But after these elections were nullified, the president at the time, Uhuru Kenyatta, said, "We will revisit." So, did he revisit?
It all depends on what you call revisit.
Yes.
Because soon after that, I had budget cuts for the judiciary, and we had a lot of problems running the programs of the judiciary because of budget cuts. The whole exercise was meant to show me as a failure.
Yes. Okay.
As a failure. Like, for example, if you take what came out at that time was budget cuts by a half on some lines of expenditure. That is the time we were working on starting the digitization of the judicial processes. We had a budget. Instead of taking half, they took the whole of it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The whole idea was intended to completely ground it, so that we don't move. And as I told you, the idea was to show me as a failure. But good luck. I had a very good rapport with some development partners.
Okay.
They came in and assisted us to start with the e-filing. The process was started by the assistance of those, and that's one thing I am very, very happy about. It has revolutionized the operations of the judiciary. The judges and magistrates, some of them can have cases heard virtually from wherever they are. The lawyers themselves, I meet quite a number of them. And they say, look, CJ, if there is anything, some of them think, if there is anything I did there, is to start that. The virtual hearings, they are able to hear cases from wherever they are. Okay. A lawyer can have a case in Malindi, another one in Nairobi, and another one in Kisumu. And it's a question of making sure that they are secured at different times in the day, and they will be able to conduct them. And they are quite happy. I did what I could. I started in Nairobi and Mombasa. My successor, Chief Justice Koome, has now rolled it the whole country. Okay. And it's working. Of course, it is not yet perfect, yes, as you would expect, but it is doing very well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And
So that is if that's the revisiting you want to get, that's the revisiting.
so budget cuts. And have you ever met Uhuru after that, like on a very casual level, not on official level, like hanged out with him? Maybe he told you his frustrations because he looked really angry. That's why we can all remember that we'll revisit. We'll revisit. He kept saying it so many times that.
No, we didn't meet in any informal setting.
Okay.
All was formal. He came to all of the functions of the judiciary. We call it the state of what?
State of the nation?
No. The state of the judiciary.
Okay.
The operation. It's just like the state of the nation address.
Okay.
I mean, the one of the judiciary is there, so we call it Soja. He came to all of them. I invited him, and he came to all of them. And I was just like I was invited, and I went to Parliament on wherever he gave the State of the Nation address. So it was official, and I think those emotional outbursts on the day we nullified, they cooled down, and we went on.
Okay. And from the outside looking in, we knew there were irregularities. But in a layman's language, like what pushed you to nullifying the election? Like was it 4 judges who voted to nullify? Yes. Yeah. What pushed the 4 judges to nullify the elections? What was different? What did you feel was too irregular?
In an election, is an expression of the voter. If the voter's will is not allowed or is not expressed,
yes,
that election is fraudulent.
Okay.
So, and that's what we found, and we said, look, this we can't allow this to continue. You remember where we were in 2007, 2008?
Yes, I remember.
I mean, we didn't want to plunge the country back to that kind of situation. If the voters don't think that their view was taken into account,
yes,
that's the kind of scenario you run into. Yeah.
Okay. And
and when people talk about irregularities, some think it is procedural irregularities. They may be procedural, some, but there are some which go to the fundamental principles in the Constitution. If an election is not open and transparent, if the votes that have been cast, and that was the major thing, if the votes that have been cast or are said to have been cast cannot be verified, then that is against the Constitution.
Okay.
So the transparency and the verification, these are the constitutional principles that are there in the Constitution. If they have been flouted, that election cannot stand. Yes.
Because I remember, we'll talk about him, but Ahmednassir was one of the people saying that the reading was sensational. The ruling was sensational. He said the gap was like 1.4 million votes, so there was nothing to nullify there. It was a clear victory. So I'll still insist. At the moment, was there anything that stood out? It was just from the. You can say it was not clear. The procedures had not been followed, or it was not the votes could not be accounted for. But what else made it? You feel like we have to nullify this one? Because with people saying the gap was too big, that any irregularities could still not have dented that gap.
When you talk about senior counsel Ahmednassir, he has his right to say what he thinks is right. Okay. He has his opinion. But normally in a case like this one, you would expect a critique, an article
Yes.
critiquing the judgment.
Yes.
To the best of my knowledge, I have not seen any from him.
Okay.
It's very easy to say this election was not done properly. I mean, this judgment is not in accordance with the law or the evidence. Coming from a lawyer, and if you want to take that lawyer seriously, let him write a critique.
Okay.
A critique which can be studied by students even in universities. And if the judges are wrong, I mean, the opinion will come.
Okay. We'll talk about him and his sentiments on your presidential bid. But before that, I also wanted to look at the president now, Uhuru, at the time refused to appoint some judges. Did you think that was connected to the 2017 ruling? The judges that were not sworn in?
In a way, yes. In a way, you could say that. Because Article 40, I believe it's Article 47.
Yeah.
And the Administration of Justice Act requires that if you are condemning somebody, you should give him a chance to be heard on the allegations made against him.
Yeah.
The allegations that were made, against this judge, we were not given particulars. As the Judicial Service Commission, which I chaired, I could not see how I could go condemning a judge and saying, look, you are corrupt or you are this, without any substantive allegations coming up. So that's why I was quite insistent that those judges should be appointed.
Yeah.
And eventually they were appointed. I was very happy about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And of course, another ruling that you'd made was you'd ask the president to dissolve parliament. What would that have meant? If a president dissolves parliament, that does not mean that they also need to resign? The new election, does the president still stay as a president, or what happens?
You need to understand the provisions of the Constitution.
Yes.
Requiring that. These were like transitional provisions.
Okay.
When the 2010 Constitution was passed, some legislation had to be enacted to implement this was a lot of transformation. The new Constitution called for a lot of transformation. One of the areas that it called for transformation is the gender balance.
Yes.
And the provisions came out very clearly that you need at least 1/3 of all appointative positions and elective positions. At least each gender should have at least 1/3. And the Parliament was given 5 years. 5 years to come up with legislation, which, for example, would have provided for what we call proportionate representation,
yes,
as it is in other countries, so that some seats are reserved for women, or some provisions are made which will enable the women to be elected.
Yeah.
Without the we are in a patriarchal system.
Yes.
Where women, most of them, especially in the rural areas, don't have as much funding to mount a successful campaign. So that's what was meant to be rectified.
Okay.
And we all know that women are as brilliant as men.
Yeah.
And there are some aspects where women are even better leaders than men. We must accept that.
Yes.
I mean, it's natural. There are areas where women are better than men. And this is what the constitutional provisions required. Now, with Parliament not enacting that legislation,
Yes.
the same transitional provisions required the Chief Justice, not even the Supreme Court,
Okay.
the Chief Justice as an individual. If there are petitions made to him to dissolve, to recommend to the President to dissolve Parliament, I had 8 petitions. We gave Parliament an opportunity to
Balance it out.
to defend itself.
Okay.
They filed submissions. The petitioners filed their own submissions, and I read them through. In my capacity as the Chief Justice and as a judge in that case, I found that Parliament had failed. Its argument was not convincing as to why they had not enacted. So I performed my duty and recommended to the President to dissolve Parliament.
Okay.
There was, of course, a lot of I went through a lot of criticism, especially from the members of Parliament, but I was doing my duty. I am not the one who restrained them from enacting legislation to implement the Constitution. They failed to do their work. If I didn't give the President that advice, I would have also failed to do my work.
Yes.
Yeah, and I gave. And I knew that perhaps he was not going to dissolve Parliament, but that was not for me. Mine was to comply, give a ruling in accordance with the law and the facts that were there, and I gave.
Okay. So if he dissolved Parliament,
Yes.
what would happen to his position as president? Would he still have been president, or what would have happened? Because from the outside, we were assuming akidissolve pia yeye anaenda nyumbani. So najua now for self-preservation, he'd be like, mi hakuna kitu nafanya hapa. I'm just going to ignore this.
If it's no. I don't think it would have really required him to go home.
Oh, okay.
Because the president is the leader of the executive. Of course, there were going to be problems because there are some things he can't do without them going through Parliament.
Yes.
And it was going to be, Parliament was going to be dissolved. And they would have, an election should have been held within a very short while.
Okay.
So that the country can move on. But it didn't require the president to go home as well. No.
Oh, and then another thing that happened under the Uhuru presidency was the ignoring of court orders and basically the disregard for court orders. How was that for you as a Chief Justice? Because we used to look at it from the outside and it'd be there like, you know what, it seems the executive is above the law. So how did you used to feel? Because that now starts with the president and just goes down.
I spoke a lot about that. I talked about that. The president is supposed to obey the law. He should lead by example.
Yeah.
He should be the first person to obey the law. You can't disregard the law and ask others to obey
Follow.
it.
Yeah.
That's doublespeak. So, and anybody who cares for the rule of law, the person, the person in the position of the president, for you to have the moral authority to call upon the other officers in your government to obey the law, you must be the one obeying it first.
Yes.
And show that you respect the law. And we told the president that he was disobeying the law. Yeah.
Okay. And of course, that used to happen even the cabinet secretaries, the police bosses, and everyone. Like under that government, there was a lot of disregard for this. Is there anything that can be done to cure that disease, cure the disease of disregard for court orders? Because I think even last year there was a police boss that did the same, just disregarded court orders. So is there anything we can do about that as a country, or that's a hopeless cause?
It is not. It's not a hopeless cause. The president, I mean, the Kenyan people have the power to call the president to account. When it comes to elections,
Yes.
and you understand that here is a president who disregards the law, who, because of the example he sets, his cabinet secretaries are disobeying the court orders.
Yes.
Court orders are law.
Yeah.
Who are not following, who are not implementing the constitution. The Kenyan, I mean, the voters, and that's where the voters need to understand that when you have a government disobeying the court orders, you are slowly sliding to anarchy.
Yeah.
You are slowly, because impunity comes in. Whoever is in power or is as influence is not touched. He can commit any criminal act and escape with impunity.
Yeah.
As I said, when you get to that, and unless you cap it, you are headed for anarchy. You are headed for anarchy, and that is what we are trying to do. In fact, what I am one of my strong pillars in the presidential bid,
Yes.
is to demand
Yes.
that everybody obeys the law.
Okay.
If the president obeys the law, he will send a very, very strong message to the rest of the people under him. Nobody can disregard the law. If the president is obeying the law, nobody can disregard the law.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's extremely important. Impunity is what has sent this country to literally to where we are. Because some people get involved in criminal acts,
Yes.
get involved in the plunder of public resources, because they know nothing will happen to them. Because they are protected from those who are higher in the government to them.
Yes.
Who are in higher positions than them, and perhaps they are doing that with their approval. And that's what has brought us to where we are. And that's what we are saying. That's what I'm saying, that if elected, I will reset the country back to constitutionalism,
Okay.
to the rule of law, so that if you commit a traffic offense, you are fined, or you are jailed, depending on the seriousness of the offense.
Yes.
What does that do?
People will start following rules. Traffic rules.
People will start following rules. The traffic, I mean, even the traffic flow
Yeah.
will be orderly.
Yes.
You have seen cases where, unfortunately, people overlap, and people have slept on the road. By the way, you know that.
Yes.
People have
The
slept on
Naivasha road is normally very notorious for that.
Yes.
Like people get stuck, people sleep there.
Yes.
So that normally happens. But now, when you announced your presidential bid, there's some of us who are really impressed by the fact that you talked about constitutionalism. I remember, like, I even did a reaction video on that. I was saying I love the fact that you are very calm, and you talked about everyone following the law and the way that would put us on a very different trajectory. But then there was this very interesting tweet that I saw, and I want us to go through this first before now we go into your presidential bid. The tweet was from Ahmednassir Abdullahi, and he wrote, "Who will vote for this clown? Jurispesa flourished during his tenure as CJ throughout the judiciary and exponentially in the Supreme Court." So basically he's saying you ran a very corrupt Supreme Court, and this trickled down through the whole judiciary. So did you see this tweet?
I saw it.
Okay. So
I saw it.
Are we trying to invite a clown to a palace? Because that's what he's saying.
That's for the Kenyan people to decide. Whether it is Maraga who is a clown or it is Ahmednassir who is a clown. So, I mean, I don't want to go into that kind of argument. Let the Kenyans people decide. The history is there to show what we have done. Ahmednassir is loud about corruption in the judiciary.
Yes.
Ask him how many cases he has lodged, how many petitions he has lodged against the judges.
Okay.
Against the judges and provided evidence. I am not denying that there is no corruption. But he says, I mean, he speaks with so much authority. You would expect him to come with petitions supported by evidence. I mean, we are in a country ruled by law. You cannot wake up tomorrow and say Maraga is a thief and expect those in authority to send him to prison because you have said it. You have got to show evidence. And our criminal justice system, for example, he says it's like you are better off releasing 99% of the criminals than sending an innocent
man to jail.
That's why, for example, a criminal case has got to be proved beyond reasonable doubt. Why? That is extremely important. Somebody can come with serious allegations which are not supported by evidence, and it will ruin the lives of very many people. I mean, we know that there are criminals who escape jail because of evidence. But that's the price you pay for the rule of law. That's the price you pay for the rule of law. And those who are entrusted with the administration of justice, it is their duty to ensure that when there is an allegation, when there is a crime which has been committed, there is diligent investigations carried out so that these people don't escape, and it sends a message when you get them to answer for their crimes. In other countries, if they say a murder committed, sometimes those people, investigations are carried out, that files are not closed. Investigations are carried out, and you find somebody being nabbed 10 years down the line.
Yes.
And they are taken to court. In those countries, people know that, I mean, you cannot get away easily with a crime, and they respect the law, and that's what we want to instill in our systems. Yeah.
So a few of us, when we look at that, we connect that to the 2017 ruling, because he was really angry, even in his submissions. Do you think that's the reason why he's never forgiven you, because he lost that case? Because remember,
I don't want to really pinpoint to, I mean, why is that? I mean, he's making all sorts of claims.
Okay.
And one of the things, I mean, where we have, I don't want even to discuss it here. I have a case in court with him.
Okay.
I mean, alleging that I was aware or I witnessed the bribery being carried out, and I'm challenging him to bring evidence. So it's a matter in court. Let's leave it at that. The court will decide.
Okay.
Yeah.
But okay. I don't know if this other one involves you, but another thing that he said was recently in the 2022 elections, the 4 judges, I think there are 4 judges who were given around 1 billion shillings to share so as to sway the election. Having worked with these judges, because I think the only judge you've not worked with there was Koome. You've worked with the rest of them, yes? Having worked with them, how credible did you think that was? Because now from...
The allegation about 1 million.
1 billion shillings was given to 4 judges of the Supreme Court in the 2022. This is after you'd left.
I don't want to talk about allegations that are made against other people. That's why I said, when you stand up and say somebody has been given 1 billion, why didn't you talk of 1 million? You're talking of 1 billion. It means you have details. You have that evidence. Why don't you bring it forward so that we get those 3 judges out of the system? It will, in fact, whoever is making that allegation is duty bound to bring that evidence so that these people are removed from the system. But making wild allegations without any support, that's what I find ridiculous.
Okay. Yeah. And this might have something to do with Ahmednassir, or maybe not have something to do with him. How is it a crime to fake your pupillage or whatever?
No, I don't want to go to that history because I don't have any evidence on that.
Okay.
I saw it in the media, and I don't want to begin to I am also talking on allegations which are unfounded.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't want to go to that.
Okay, I just had to ask. So you've entered an arena with goons, thugs, and that's basically what the political class in Kenya is, where threats, intimidation is what wins. So do you think you can survive as someone who believes in constitutionalism?
We are going to win. Because I want to run a value-based campaign. I want to run a campaign that addresses the issues the Kenyans are going through. That's why in my previous interview I have said that what has brought this country the way it is that the politicians have played the ethnic issue.
Yes.
Mutu yetu. That if you don't vote for mutu yenu, it's like you have not voted.
Yes.
We wanted to tell the Kenyans that that's what has brought Kenya to where it is. Because of that, the ethnic card being played, some politicians have ended up in parliament who should not be there. Who go there and who go there to enrich themselves.
Yeah.
To cut deals. They go there to cut deals, and as a result, who suffers? It is the Kenyan. So that's what we are fighting.
Okay.
And this time round, I am sure the Kenyans have seen what it means to have a leader they can trust.
Yes.
They can tell, look, you said this, why haven't you carried out? And I would like the Kenyans, once whatever promises we will make, if we are not following them up, I would like the Kenyans to come up and say, look, you told us you are going to do this.
Yes.
You are doing the opposite. That is the kind of accountability I would want to subject myself to. And I want the Kenyans to know that if we are going to make in our campaign, in our manifesto,
yes,
take us to task on our manifesto. If we have failed, we must be accountable to the people of Kenya. Yeah.
Okay. And now the other question would be youth unemployment. This is like one of the biggest issues we have as a country. Do you have a plan for that? Because people can be like, yes, we'll be following the law, but we'll be poor. And poor citizens can only follow the law up to a certain point till they're like, you know what, I need to survive. So have you thought about that, and what sort of plans you'd come up with to counter youth unemployment?
It's not only, youth unemployment, of course, is a huge issue.
Yeah.
But there are quite several other huge issues that we are addressing. We are working on a manifesto.
Okay.
That I have teams who are working on that, and we will come up with a manifesto that is visible.
Yes.
A manifesto that we are able to, with the promises we are making in that manifesto, are promises that are visible, are realizable. So that you don't want to give Kenyans promises you're not going to fulfill. Talking about the youth unemployment, to deal with the issue of unemployment, you need a vibrant economy.
Yes.
You need a vibrant economy. It is the private sector that employs the bulk of the Kenyan population, of any population of our nation. It is, some are in formal employment. Others get like what you are doing here now.
Yes, yes.
You are using technology.
Yeah.
To earn a living. We are going to, top on our priority is the issue of innovation. There are people working on that.
Yes.
How can we be innovative? How can we enable the young people with innovative ideas? How do you facilitate them to earn a living and employ others? And we know, technology is going to play a great role, and that's an area we are going to give very serious focus. The other one is the business community. The way things are being done in the country is sending away investors to other countries. The investors who are here, some of them are closing down and going to other countries because of the environment that is here, and that's, for me, that is a disaster.
Yes, yes.
When you get a farm or a company running business and because it is not being facilitated or it is being frustrated and is moving out, that is a disaster. The role of the government in enterprise, in private enterprise, is to set a conducive environment for the business community to compete.
Yes.
An open, a level playing ground, compete, and offer services and employ people.
Okay.
So that is a major thing that we are going to look at, so that we rebuild our economy.
Okay.
We rebuild our economy so that it offers more employment, and the young people, some will get employed, some will employ themselves and employ others. Yeah, that's how our country is run. My understanding, that's how our country is run.
Okay. The beast of corruption? Because corruption, for a lot of us, we look at it as the only thing that separates us from being a developed country. Like when I look at the Americas of this world and the Europes, I don't see anything special. The only thing I feel is every taxpayer's coin is respected. While when I look at Africa, I can use my taxpayers' money to live, like, just enjoy life, have an entertainment budget, have a million renovations, and money gets lost in projects that can't be accounted for. So corruption is such a big disease, especially in Kenya. How would you handle that? And how would you collaborate with the judiciary to make sure that that is handled and brought to a stop?
Thank you for that question. In fact, you have said it all.
Yeah.
You have said the cancer.
Yeah, it's a cancer. Yes.
The cancerous nature of corruption in this country, which is literally grounding the country to a halt.
Yes.
If you're building a road that is supposed to cost 100 billion shillings,
Yeah.
and you end up paying 300-400 billion, you know what that means. You know what that means. We are going to be very, very keen to ensure that in every project, the Kenyans get value for his money, for their money.
Yes.
And that, as I have said in the past, I'm going to face corruption head on. I know the forces I will be up against. But I'm ready to face them. I'm ready to face them. Why am I so confident? I'm very confident because I know the Kenyans will be behind me.
Okay.
The ordinary Kenyans will be behind me to make sure that their taxes are utilized for the projects that benefit them.
Okay.
Look at I was looking at a clip recently. Is it 900 billion shillings worth of drugs that have expired?
Yeah, I saw that.
And you need another 600 million
To go and ban it.
to dispose of it. Because of course that is required because drugs are toxic substances.
Yes.
And they must be handled carefully. How?
Yeah.
We have no drugs in the hospitals. And here are drugs that the Kenyans have paid for and they are late to expire. What are you telling the Kenyans? What are you telling the Kenyans? People are sleeping on the job. Yes. Others are, and I can assure you, even without, my guess is as good as yours. Some people are not getting their deals. That's why these drugs are left to expire. Why were they, first of all, even bought in the first place?
Yes, I remember there's that case of drugs, yes.
It is a terrible scandal. It is a terrible scandal. We saw it during the COVID. We talked about the COVID billionaires.
Yeah.
No, we should be serious. We should be serious.
Okay.
We cannot afford to go on like that. We can. In fact, if we continue the way we are, this country is regressing very badly instead of advancing. Yeah.
So there's this journalist by the name of Sadiq Shaban. He'd written this. Go ahead and drop the case against Waingo Musalia Mudavadi. Don't be afraid. 15 years later, the case keeps dragging for endless mentions and no convictions. What do you think about that? Is there a way that the judiciary can be helped in finishing these cases fast? Because if I steal money, and let's say I steal money and 15 years later the case has not been finished, what ends up happening is I'm still enjoying my money as the case keeps dragging and the probability of recovering any money becomes very low. And this is not just about a particular case, just about all corruption cases. So do you think there's a way? I always say that I'd love the day when Kenya handles corruption cases the way we handle presidential petitions, where we start and we finish in a limited period, so that if there's any money to be recovered, it's recovered. If there's no money to be recovered, there's no money to be recovered. What do you think about that?
That's a very good question. There are several other actors.
Yeah.
For example, in the criminal justice system, you have the police, the CID investigating cases. You have ESCC. You
DPP.
have the DPP.
Yeah.
All these and the auditors, the Auditor General.
Yeah.
All these are their activities must be synchronized for and that is what should be done. That's actually what should be done, so that the investigators carry out their investigations thoroughly and ensure that they don't leave loopholes. If there is no evidence, they should come up and say, look, a crime may have been committed, but there is no evidence on this, and it can't stand a conviction, or it can't stand the test of the legal process. So that you don't waste court system. You don't take cases to court when you know yourself as an investigator that you are getting nowhere. That is one thing. One thing I want to assure the Kenyans is that we are going to get the institutions give them the independence they require, and tell them, look, please carry out thorough investigations so that when you take a case to court, a conviction is going to be done. And I mean, that is not to say that they leave some other cases. They are supposed to do their job, and when they have done their job and say, look, we have carried out investigations here, I don't think there is evidence. If somebody is saying that, and is somebody who respects himself in the first place, and is confident that he can make a statement like that and ask anybody to challenge him, we should respect that. And those who have come up with evidence, there is the process of prosecution.
Okay.
So that the criminals are dealt with.
Okay.
The courts themselves have their role and a major role to play. I mean, are they facilitated? Are they facilitated to do their work?
Yes.
Are the judges and magistrates? The backlog. Yesterday I was in a function where somebody gave an average of a judge having 450 cases, an average of 450 cases per year. That's what
That's more than one per day.
That's more than one. Almost you're supposed to do, because if you take into account weekends, and
that's
public
like
holidays,
2 per day.
it's impossible. What am I saying? We have. I mean, there is manpower that needs to be increased. And the judges, I mean, get to do their work so that the cases are dealt with. So it is the just system. The just system. It's just to get those people to come together and say, look, we can't go on like this. I mean, if I'm president, I will get them to sit down and say, look, we can't go on like this. How can we deal with these cases? As you have said, you would like cases like corruption cases to be given priority as election petitions are being given priority. The justice sector should sit down and do that. Say, look, these economic crimes especially are devastating.
The country,
get them dealt with expeditiously so that the country is able to move.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as we finish up, people would want to know David Kenani Maraga, the boy. How did the boy want to end up working in law? Like, what inspired you and pushed you to law as a kid?
You know, when you're in secondary school, at that age, you have wild dreams.
Yes.
And you are entitled to have those wild dreams. You want to be a doctor, you want to be a pilot, you want to be this. But with your strengths, with the subjects where you have strengths, you get even you get the career masters to guide you and tell you, look, because you have a flair for this, and you are strong in this, I think you can better be guided and do this. I was guided by the career masters.
Oh, okay.
But besides that, what actually made me to think about getting into law is I got arrested. I was crossing the rail lines in Kisumu, the Kisumu railway lines, and we were arrested that we were crossing the rail lines where we were not supposed to cross the rail line. I were kept in cells the whole day.
How old were you?
Form 1, I was in Form 1. How old would I have been? I can't remember.
Yeah. 14, 15 years.
Yes, 10, 15 years.
Yes.
And I said, I thought we were not dealt with well. I said, look, I wanted to study law so that I can defend my rights. Yeah.
Okay. You in which high school?
Maranda High School.
Oh, Maranda. Oh, okay. Maranda. Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah.
And University of Nairobi, was that the, where did you grow up? You grew up in?
I grew up in Nyamira.
Nyamira.
I grew up in Nyamira. I went to Maranda. You know that, the first time I went to Kisumu town was when I went from one.
Oh, okay.
Because I had to cross from Nyamira through Kisumu to Siaya. Maranda is in Siaya. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And first time coming to Nairobi was for university?
No. I had come earlier. I had relatives here in Nairobi. I had come earlier to Nairobi and visited them.
Yes.
Yes. So, but when I was in university, it was an interesting experience. Very many things you learn when you come to university. We had very interesting things. I tasted jam and marmalade for the first time in university.
Yeah.
They were being provided at that time. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They were being provided at that time.
Those are the days of boom or something.
Boom was there, but we had like breakfast. Bread was spread on the tables. Jam was there. Marmalade was there.
Oh.
And the tea was in huge flasks. You just went and served yourself. Don't forget, we were not very many that time.
Yeah, I
We
can
were not
guess.
very many that time. And I believe the economy was very strong. Yeah.
Oh, this was before 92 and shilingi ilikaa kwa weekend kabisa. But I think we need to have another conversation where we can talk about now all this, because I'd written a lot of questions about the judiciary and everything. But thank you very much for your time. And good luck. And I think a lot of people know that I feel like we need your sort of leadership to move us away from this thuggery and intimidation.
Thank you
politics.
very much. I don't want you to just wish me good luck. No.
Yeah.
If you think I have a cause for Kenya,
Yes.
I want to ask you, Mwafrika,
Yes.
as an individual,
Yes.
to get out and vote and ask others to vote for me.
Yeah.
Because as I said, this is going to be a value-based campaign. Mine is going to be a value-based campaign. If you think I appeal to you,
Yes.
and you think that my presidency will be for the good of the country, you should do everything possible in your capacity, individual capacity, to do that. Most of the problems we have is because you say, okay, this is a good candidate. Good luck to you.
Okay. At least
You
the good
have
thing,
actually abdicated your civic duty.
okay, the good thing about me is I'm on record saying that if I was to vote for
Through you,
anyone,
I'm talking to others.
Yes,
so
no.
that they
And,
understand.
yeah.
It is our civic duty to elect people,
of
candidates
integrity, yes.
who are going to make a change, who are going to bring a change, and take this country forward.
Yes.
Yes.
I think if there was anything like an endorsement, people know that I've endorsed you. This was even before I
Thank you
knew
very
that you
much.
are going
Thank you very
to
much.
come to this show.
Yeah.
Like last week, there was a whole argument about what sort of leaders we wanted. And I was talking about how you impressed me with talking about the law. Because if we follow the law, everything else is going to fall into place.
Yes.
You know, there'll be no corruption, there'll be no everything will just fall into place. So by saying good luck I'm hoping that Kenyans, when you're not around, I always use flowery language, telling them we need to stop the bullshit, I'm sorry to say, but we need to, we need to show that we want change.
Yes.
And change comes with changing our style of politics and going to people who respect the law and also respect the taxpayer enough not to waste a single shilling.
Thank you.
Yes. So imekuwa ni episode 470. Kama kawaida vile susemaga, like, subscribe, hit the notification button, tell a friend, tukimalizia tukisema iko nene.
Iko nini?
Yeah.